Something big happened in the world of sports recently, and I heard about it, which means that it's really big news because I don't care about sports whatsoever. $700 million, $700 million, almost $1 billion is the new contract that this one baseball player, I don't even know who, I think LA Dodgers player, got signed for over the course of 10 years. Now, there's a lot of smart things he did with this deal, but before we go into that, I want to talk about another thing that I saw. I follow Morning Brew on Instagram, and every now and again they'll post something that's actually pretty interesting. And then today they posted the 10 highest paid athletes based on their contract. Maybe in the United States or it might be worldwide, but regardless, 7 out of the 10 contracts, which were all above $350 million, were signed by baseball players. Only one football player and 2 soccer players, I think. That's absurd. Football is the largest sport in the United States, or at least in my opinion, it's the largest. Like that's what I've been told. I live in the Southeast, so maybe that's why. But why are 7 out of the 10 highest paid athletes that are all making well over $250 million from their contract? Why are 7 out of 10 baseball players? So I got to thinking about it. I just did one search and it summed it up. How many baseball games are there in a year? I knew that there are more than there were football games, right? Because football, once a week, right? There are 162 games in the baseball season every single year. So the reason why these athletes are getting paid absurd amounts of money is because the games are shown 5 times as often and mainly to a live audience. Like a lot of people around the country will watch baseball pretty consistently. I don't even know what the comparison, maybe that's a good thing to research, the size of the baseball audience in the United States compared to the live audience of football. That would be an interesting question, but the thing that matters the most here are the ticket sales, right? The greatest sport by number of people who watch it on a consistent basis or, watch the championship game or whatever you want to call it, in the world would be soccer, right? The most prestigious sport would probably be golf in the United States and tennis worldwide. The most niche audience that has a diehard following is probably football in the United States. And there's sports around the world that probably take different titles. But the one that most people care about is money. Who makes the most money? And the lesson here is this. You don't have to be the best or most watched or most interesting game in the world. You can be a pretty slow-paced thing as long as you have more games than every other sport, right? So what does that mean for you? You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the most interesting or any of these things. You just have to show up more often than everyone else in all fields of life, all areas of life, right? Okay, so what does that mean? You just have to show up. You have to be a competitor. So 80% as good as the best person in the game in 4 or 5 different fields, and you will be worth leaps and bounds more than everyone else. Now, maybe the one who's super good, the number one guy in that one field, will make more money than you. But there's no way that second place or fifth place down the line in that one category will make more than you, because you'll know out of all these different fields, what are the highest leverage areas? Where should I focus my time? Don't focus, if you're one to bounce around on ideas, then don't focus on settling for one. Just build out several, one piece at a time on all these different areas. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm building out YouTube, building out woodworking. I have this idea or all these ideas for companies that I want to start. Why would I pigeonhole myself to one thing? Do it all, just make sure that you can balance it all, right? Okay, so that's pretty interesting, but let's go back to the very beginning. $700 million to this pitcher. What move did he do that is very smart? Instead of taking $700 million guaranteed over 10 years, he delayed it over the course of 20 years and only is taking $2 million a year for the first 10 years, right? And why would he do that? Most people are greedy and they want their money, their check now. You know, if I'm playing 10 years, well, I want to make all my money in 10 years, right? He still has the guaranteed money over the course of 20 years. 2 million a year for the first 10, and then 680 for the second set of 10 years. Why does it make sense for him to do that? You know, like, what's the point? It's a genius move because their salary cap for all the players these first 10 years is X amount, you know? If he were to get paid the full $70 million every single year for those first 10 years, he is getting a lot closer to his salary cap. Now, this guy is very smart. He wants to have, this is what I think at least, a better chance of being a World Series winner on multiple occasions by lowering his salary for those first 10 years so that the rest of the players on the team can spend more money on those players. So he's basically upping his chances of winning, the World Series over the course of the 10 years, probably like at least doubling his chance. I don't even know what multiplier he's putting on it, but by allowing the salary cap to buy better players, to have a more well-rounded team, that's awesome. He's still going to make his money, but he's most likely going to, it's good for the team as well, and I'll get into that in a second. He's most likely going to make more money in the long run from this arrangement because his jersey will be worth more if he goes to a World Series. He'll be able to buy out a franchise and all these different things, like the world of things that you can do by just delaying gratification. It's crazy what he's doing. Now let's go back to why is it better for the team? Why would they agree to this? Because if, let's say over the course of 10 years, like the billionaire who owns the team wants to have the highest return on his profit, or on his highest profit return on his investment. And so if over the course of 10 years, he's more likely to win a World Series, well, that's worth $1 billion or whatever it is per year, per World Series. So whatever figure of money it's worth, if he's likely to get 1, 2, maybe 3 in those 10 years, it's well worth him delaying the payment for this pitcher or this player. I don't even know what position he is, over the course of 20 years. Because even if they don't win a single series that second set of 10 years, in his mind, those first 10 years, it's worth it, right? Now, another way to look at it is that over time, the salary cap is going to go up anyways. Or maybe it gets dropped outright, who knows? It's just crazy what they're doing with this. It's very smart. I think the whole system it works out great for both parties and is going to maximize the odds that this team, the LA Dodgers, will win over the long run. So think about that when you're setting up your life. If you have the chance to be one of the first 10 members at a company, a startup, and they offer you stock, and you have to delay your salary for 3 years to have more stock, you take it without a doubt. You find a way to make the other money. You're smart enough to be in a position where you're number 10 at a company. You can figure out another way, a side hustle, to make the money, to foot the bill for your food for 3 years. You delay that gratification, instead of being worth $450,000, $150,000 a year, which you wouldn't even be worth that. Most of it would go away to, taxes and food and living and all these different things. Instead of that, you have 1% of a company that's now worth $1 billion. You just cashed in on $10 million by just delaying it for 3 years. You have a lifetime of wealth by delaying your salary for 3 years, right? It's just genius. So try to find ways that you can delay gratification in your life and win big because of it, and have that in mind from the get-go. And think of it this way. Instead of the fact that I'm not going to get paid for 3 more years or whatever the length of time is, you're getting paid more every single day for those 3 years, and you get to cash in on it at the end of that time, right? So it's a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful, wonderful life. You just got to plan it out. And you can cash in big. Why not us?